fucking pull.
And I told the dude, it's like, you only think your girlfriend's so hot because you never seen her with the ugly lights on, you know? Stick around for the end of the show. Oh, all right, sorry, we're live. Okay, hey, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition, Sunday night PullgetterTV. It took many, many years, but it finally happened. We got Jimmy fucking Adcock in the building. Woo! Yeah! All right, and congratulations on winning. Local best hair from 1975 to 2019. Every fucking year. No one can fucking hold a candle to you, bro.
Or if they do, then the hair's gone. That's not going to be good. So, go ahead.
Oh, so Jimmy Adcock's with the band Nytrate, and your other members couldn't be here tonight, and that's totally cool, because, you know, you're the fucking superstar, right? Fucking. Who else do you have in your band? Let's shout them out.
All right. On vocals is Allie Clay. Drums is Thomas Taco Cantu. And then on bass is John Cruz.
Right on. Well, cheers, you guys. Sorry you couldn't be here. You got to come back on again sometime, and fucking maybe play some live jams for us.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be pretty cool, right?
That would be amazing.
So, what were you going to say, Aaron?
Oh, no, that's actually what I was going to talk about was the rest.
You and I, man, we're right here. So.
Absolutely, so.
So, congratulations on turning 48 years old.
Thank you.
Just like a month ago. We're going to watch some footage from the big birthday bash we had
Cancer
in
birthday
July.
bash.
It was awesome.
It was his
Great time.
birthday.
Pam's birthday.
Pam's birthday.
Jimmy Fritz. I share a birthday with Jimmy Fritz from Creeper.
Exactly. Now, that's the exact same day,
Same
right?
day.
So,
Yep.
shout out to Jimmy Fritz from Creeper, man.
That was a good party, man. Everybody was there. It was cool.
So, do you feel any older?
Not mentally. I mean, when I wake up in the morning, so like a little back twitches here and there and all that,
Creaks and stuff,
right? So,
rusty bones.
but hey, man, music keeps me young.
Keeps you young, exactly. I just turned 40 in January, and one thing that I'm learning now is like most people that I think is older than me are not. They're all in their late 30s now, and I can't say that anymore. So. Other than that, everything is business as usual.
I remember that.
So, what do you guys got going on, man? First time I saw you guys was in July. Fucking badass show. You guys are like I looked on your Facebook page and it said your heart meets Judas Priest and Kiss. You know, so.
Right? Yeah. I mean, influence wise, it's pretty diverse. The band was formed in 2016 by a friend of mine, guitar player Eddie Mendiola, and so the Nytrate was kind of his brainchild. And at the time, I'd been kind of out of the local metal scene for a while. I've been playing locally around since the early 90s. I was in a band called Seventh Veil for, about 12, 15 years. And then we changed the name to Radio King. I had a different singer, put out an album with them. That was in like 2004 or 5. And then, did a couple of tribute bands. And then, I have another project called the Texas Surfers doing kind of like Texas blues rock country stuff.
Cool, that's cool.
So I'd focused on that for a few years. And then I've been kind of looking and wanting to get back into like a good metal band, because...
it's in the blood, man.
It is, man. I mean,
it's cool to keep the fingers moving on the fretboard.
Yeah, I mean, I love so many styles of music. I kind of need these different projects to kind of keep myself motivated and continuing to grow as a musician for me. But yeah, metal, man. From the time I was, I guess, in my mid-teens. I mean, Motley Crue was the band that really that started it all for me. To where it's like, and then it just kind of like grew like wildfire from there. Like every issue of Metal Edge magazine and Circus and Hit Parader, and my walls were covered with all of that stuff, so from Motley to Wasp and Dokken, and then Megadeth, and just kind of like everything from that point.
Does since you're doing different bands and the different bands are different styles, I'm sure that stylistically, your metal roots kind of bleed into your country blues roots and vice versa. Right. Are the bands real accepting of that when that happens, or are they like, oh, it's way too metal, or that's way too country?
Not really. I mean, a little bit, I guess. I guess I don't think about it as much anymore because of having those outlets. So I'm not having. I guess back in the Seventh Veil days when, back then it was kind of a little more unusual to be in more than one band. Everybody had that one band and that's all they focused on. Mm-hmm. Everybody's chasing the record deal and the dream and all that kind of stuff. Nowadays you have so many people in the local scene that are in multiple projects, whether it be multiple original bands or an original band and a tribute band. Mm-hmm. So it's a little more accepting, and, even the famous musicians of our time period in youth and everything, they all have different projects to do. I mean, George Lynch is, my God, I mean, his catalog is, right. It seems like he puts like 3 or 4 albums a year with different groups and everything. So everybody's kind of doing stuff, and it kind of is the same on the local level. All the people I look up to and have been playing with for over 20, 25 years, it's kind of the same just on that level. But to me, it's the camaraderie and the, I guess the connection that you all make, it's really kind of the same as the people that we all looked up to in the magazines and everything, where they're jamming together and doing different projects and mm-hmm. people crossing over. Well, this guy was in this band and now he's in this one and all that. But yeah, I guess, to answer the question, since I do have those outlets, I'm not trying to force a certain style into this song where mm-hmm. it wouldn't fit. But back in the day, when I only had the one project and I was into so many different kinds of stuff, I think one of the issues we had was like our music was a little too diverse. We'd have like a real like thrash metal sounding song, and then a real prog metal song, and then we've got this tune that's got these little country influences, and those got blues, and people really didn't know how to categorize the music, you know, and then, you know, everybody wants to put a label on what you sound like and everything, and so it probably hurt us a little more than it helped, you know. But I mean, I was just like, man, I got to get this funk riff in there, and I got to do this chicken picking riff and everything. So now, I mean, the fact that I have the projects, I don't have to kind of wedge, you know, a square piece into a round hole like that, you know. But it does come out, you know. I think one of the early guys that really inspired me and showed me how you can incorporate, you know, other styles into metal was Zakk Wylde. What he did on No Rest for the Wicked. You know, he had all that chicken picking country stuff that he was doing, but it was with the Les Paul through a Marshall, so it didn't sound like country, but you could tell the technique and the influence was there.
Exactly.
So yeah, I mean, he that was actually my first concert, was his first tour with Ozzy, you know. So yeah, he had a big influence on me and what he did, you know, and so he's always been a favorite. But yeah, you know, when Eddie started the band, and I was just kind of looking around, waiting for the right project to come along that would kind of fit what I was wanting to do musically back in the metal genre. I saw him post on Facebook, you know, looking for a guitar player, and I was kind of familiar with some of the stuff he had done in his previous band, Gun Hill, and shot him a message, and you know, he told me he was in the process of putting the band together, and just to kind of sit tight, and he'd let me know when everything was ready, and got together and jammed with Taco, the drummer, and the strange thing with Taco is he really is a guitar player by trade. Like, this is his first band he'd ever played drums in. He was just kind of starting on the drums when we got together to jam for the first time. And so to see how much, how far he's come in such a short time, and in my opinion, I'm not trying to speak for Taco, but with him being predominantly a guitar player first, it's like he's kind of came up with a really unique style of drumming that doesn't just sound like everybody else who's like drummed from the time they were 10 and went through like 20 years of influences and everything, and copying a lot of the same people. So it's real unique to me.
It's his style.
Yeah, his style, and it's like being there from the beginning and seeing how it's kind of gelled, and it's kind of happened just in the context of the songs that we've written.
He's his own flavored taco.
It is. Yeah, I mean, everybody loves tacos, you know. But yeah, and then Allie, when Allie came on board, Allie is doesn't really have much of a metal background. She'd shot me like some of the influence. She had Ann Wilson from Heart, Pat Benatar, Patti Smith, Donna Summer, and Chris Cornell. Those are her big ones, So not much on the metal side, She'd been in a couple of local bands back in the 90s, playing, Deep Element, everything. But this was really her first entry into that, into this scene and this style of music. But, she really embraced it. And I think it really gave us a bit of a different sound, and to me, like what you said what we have kind of listed on the website and Facebook page, is kind of like Judas Priest meets Heart. She has obviously the Ann Wilson influence, but she can really get up there and scream and get in the kind of the realm of Halford. So kind of having those two together really made to me a real unique sound when we kind of started putting everything together, because we never sit down and talked about, well, we want to sound like this meets this meets this. It's just everybody had their influences. I think for Eddie, Old School Kiss was a huge influence. He's from Brooklyn, so he brought a lot of that kind of New York, swagger, and attitude to what he was writing, a little bit of the punk edge to the riffs.
Cool.
And to me, the foundation was kind of that in early Judas Priest and early Accept. And then what I was looking to do over the top of that was, I've always just been into the really over the top technical guitar players, from, Zakk Wylde to George Lynch to Paul Gilbert and Yngwie Malmsteen, yeah. Yngwie J. Malmsteen, not to be confused with the others. Satriani and Vai, so John Five's a huge, I'm a huge fan of John Five.
Played with them twice, right?
Yeah,
with John Five twice.
Both times, man. And man, he is one of the absolute nicest guys I've ever met. It's really great to all of his fans, and he just loves the guitar. Loves playing guitar. I really admire what he's been able to do with his career. He's got a great gig with Rob Zombie. Obviously, that pays his bills, and then he finances everything on his own with his music. You know, he does all his own stuff with his albums and handles all of his merch on his own. You know, the guy could tour in a bus if he wanted to, but like the last couple of I've seen him every tour he's done for the past 4 years, and he's just slugging it out in a van like
that's what I'm talking
anybody
about.
else. You
still go through a drive-through window in a van.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah,
you don't have to park the bus over there and go across the parking lot to go in a restaurant to get something. But I mean, isn't that like a testament to the times? Like with the record labels dying out and stuff like that, these guys are having to learn how to market,
right?
All the business end stuff and fend for themselves. And John 5, he's got the best of both worlds.
Yeah, man, he's got a great. Well, I wouldn't call it really a gimmick, but I mean, he's very recognized. He's got his own brand.
Well, it's
really
better
important.
than Bucketheads.
It is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, man. I mean, Buckethead's got a really huge following too. I actually went to see Buckethead about 2 weeks after, we played with John 5, and it was my first time seeing him live. I was really blown away at like what big of a following he had. It was at Gas Monkey Live, and that place was 3/4 full.
It's incredible. You just have to have a really weird mind. Yeah. You have to be really accepting of the non-norm.
Yeah, it is out there.
And you gotta like nunchucks. Did he do his nunchuck thing for you?
He did. Yes, he did. Then he takes a little break halfway through the set and hands out toys to all the people, little sacks of toys and stuff, to people in the front row. Very, very different. But I mean, he's found his little niche. You know? And that's cool. I think it's important. Like with John 5 and like even what Zach has done. Through Ozzy. He's kind of made his own brand. Everybody knows who he is.
Right.
And he's got his own style, his own look, and that's really important.
It's interesting to me to listen to you list off Allie's influences in particular, because when I first heard her sing, I pinpointed. I was like, I know who her influence is. I know her influence personally. I know it's got to be Lacey Connor. And Allie has no clue who that is. Lacey Connor sang for Nocturne here locally for a long time, and they got pretty big. And then now she went on, and now she sings for Lords of Acid.
Wow!
Yeah, but Allie, back in the early Lacey Connor in DFW days, Lacey has a specific way she holds her larynx when she hits certain notes, and so does Allie. Has the exact same one.
Wow!
And it was enough that I went and found her brother Preston, and I was like, "That's got to be who it is, right? Like that's who she listens to." And Preston was like, "Who the fuck are you talking about?" So I asked Allie, and Allie had no idea who I was talking about either, and it just blew my mind because she's got that same rasp, that same niche, and I was like, "That's got to be who it is." So I told her I'd send her a bunch of the music and see what she thought of it. It's interesting to see that her influences were so much lighter vocally than what she's doing, and she's out there nailing it, man.
Right,
so
yeah.
really
it's cool. I mean, like I said, we never really sat down and discussed any of that stuff. It's just we just kind of like
let it come out.
Yeah, just come out naturally. It's like, hey, just do what you feel like needs to be done in this song, and that's kind of how everything has been written. Eddie, wrote a lot of the foundation riffs for what ended up on our first CD, and then I just kind of came in and laid my stuff over the top. It kind of gave me the opportunity to get out all those like shred guitar influences that I had that I wanted to do. Again, like Paul Gilbert and Racer X were huge. In John 5, I feel like I need to cut both of them some checks, every time we sell a CD, because I guess about 75% of all my solos are like, kind of regurgitating, John 5 licks and Paul Gilbert licks that I've been waiting for 20 years to incorporate.
Thanks to that confession, you'll now be getting at your next show.
And then the other part was like, that's right. I hope so. And then the other, I guess, like 25% were a couple of local Texas guitar legends, Scott Stein and Derek Taylor from a band called Hodges Kitchen, and further back than that, Tommy Lamy, the old Basement days. They were really, in my opinion, and very groundbreaking and ahead of their time. Shred guys. That were kind of doing a little bit different than the what was the neoclassical popular stuff in the early '90s and everything. They were doing more. Like 3-note string pentatonic stuff, really wide interval stuff, and I took some lessons from Scott, back in the '90s or so. Really kind of opened up my eyes and to how that stuff was done. So I've been waiting for like 20 years to find a place to throw that stuff in there. Doesn't work so well in a blues setting, but I get it. I put a bunch of it in Nytrate. So
right on. Let's cue up a video, Pam. I want to apologize ahead of time because the first couple of videos are on me as far as quality wise, but then it picks up. Just technical issues, you know. I was using a new camera, so if you see the camera fall down and hit the floor, do a shot. So
I think this first one actually turned out really great. I think if I'm not mistaken, this first song is called "The Siren," and it's
okay,
actually,
cool. Yeah, I put them in order because
Okay.
I didn't know the name. So
Yeah. So yeah, if this is the one I'm thinking of, it's actually one of our new songs, and Taco actually wrote this one on the guitar, and kind of did my stuff over the top of it and everything. And so, planning to be this being the first single that we'll release off of the next upcoming album.
interesting. Cool. So when Taco plays, do you just watch and like, okay, I got this, or does he show you?
No, he usually sends us. Well, this one, I mean, he went really in depth. He actually, recorded it with the drum machine, recorded the riff, and sent like some PDF files of the music and tab and everything. And, and it's actually pretty. It's
That's
very
pretty
intricate compared
right?
to our other stuff that Eddie wrote. I mean, this to me goes much more into more of the prog, progressive metal area, and his some of his favorite bands, Symphony X and Trivium. So there's a bit of that influence in there from the writing standpoint.
I like how you have you guys have all your like inspirations like keyed in.
Yeah,
that's cool that you're aware of that.
Definitely.
So, well, thank you guys for tuning in. Brian Brown, great show last night. Aaron says, sorry I couldn't be there. That's Black Star Republic.
What's up, Amanda?
From they were on last
Michael.
week. Amanda, Shannon McMillan, hey, and Les Paul and my good buddy Mark Galacio tuning in. Thank you guys for sharing and stuff. We don't have to sit here on our phones and do that shit when you guys are helping us out. But let's see what this Sirens is about, man. Cue it up, Pam. Go back live. All right. Sorry about that. There's 2 Nytrate folders on the desktop. So
2 different folders, you said?
yeah.
That'll happen.
So Pam's gonna find the other folder, and it'll say Nytrate Show. All right. Sorry about.
I don't see any.
We're real professional here at PullgetterTV.
we-
In case you haven't noticed.
Plan for months ahead on each of these endeavors.
I don't see a folder on here.
All right. Do the. You got that promo video up?
Yeah.
Okay. Do
Everyone's
that.
clever.
And we'll be right back. Sorry, y'all.
I meet the boys at the PGA house tonight. They got a pot on a crown. It's going down the range.
Well, thank you guys for your patience. That last video in that clip was Randy Bell with Pantera playing Popular, and he'll be performing that song again this Saturday, dressed as Randy Belvis. He'll have his Elvis outfit on.
So awesome.
There'll be a lot of other surprises during that show too that I'm literally not allowed to mention because, you know, some of the bands are putting together some really cool shit because Susan Bray, whose son was unfortunately killed with Dimebag and Aaron Hawk and Jeff Mayhem Thompson that night. She always comes down and hangs out with the Pull Getters, man. It's a good way to stay connected to her son and Dimebag and everything. You know, we just hang out and party, and we do shows now, so we could bring the party to Rob's Billiards this Saturday and fucking gonna blow it up hardcore like we always do. So
Hell yeah, man.
tonight we're here with Jimmy Adcock of Nytrate, and you said you're in some other bands too, huh?
Yeah, I have one of my other projects is the Texas Surfers.
That's what
doing
it
the
was.
Texas rock blues country,
Rock
and then
blues
I do
country.
Snakes and Cowboys, local Ted Nugent tribute.
Oh, very cool.
That's
a lot of fun,
so
man.
you always have to join a tribute band to pay the bills.
That
right?
man, yeah, you know. Hey, man, no shame about it, man. I have a great
Hey,
time
right.
doing it, you know.
That's what it's all about.
I'll
right
always
there.
have an original project, though, man. I love the creative outlet of, writing my own stuff and getting to perform it. But man, I'm just really, thankful and grateful that I can still do this and play and.
Well,
Play
yeah.
music I love and grew up with. I was a huge Ted Nugent fan growing up, and it's like really one of the funnest bands I've ever done, man. It's just great. Every
when
time I
you-
play those tunes, man, it's just like, fuck, man.
And when you
these are
find a
awesome,
good
you know?
group of people that are like-minded and are totally down with that shit.
Yeah,
man.
actually,
That's just the icing on the cake.
the other guys in that band are my singer, rhythm guitar player, and bass player from the Surfers. So it kind of just
Oh, it bleeds over,
bleeds
huh?
over a little bit. We have a Christian Meyer on drums with us.
Oh yeah, we know Christian.
And man, he's a great slamming drummer. So it's perfect for what we needed for that. And every now and then, I do some shows with Infestation, Rat tribute band.
Cool.
With Richard Toll, and
You guys lay it down.
we do. Yeah, we absolutely do.
You make all the ladies' body talk.
We do all that. Yeah.
Badass. So we'll get back to this siren video. Thank you guys again for your patience. I think we're good to go now.
And love you back, Amanda. Thank you for that.
And hey, Joy, what's up? Thanks for tuning in, you guys. Pam's gonna lead us to Valhalla in 3, 2.
you.
And I said, that's not a garbage can. That's my wife. Right? Oh.
You said the same thing about my wife.
Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, Brian Florence, what's up, buddy? Robert Steck, how you doing? So, thanks for tuning in. We are back here with Jimmy Adcock from Nytrate and Texas Surfers. Surfers, that's it. Metal, or no, that's blues and rock, Texas style.
That's right.
And we were talking about your the influences and inspirations and stuff, and how techniques bleed over into other genres and everything. And I think that's one thing that makes when someone describes a genre as a Texas genre, like Texas blues or Texas metal, Texas swing even. So I think it's because it all comes from this bluesy kind of thing where, you know, like a lot of Dimebag stuff, if you turn off the distortion, you're going to hear a lot of blues licks, you know? And I think that has a lot to do with it. I think it's taking all these fundamental riffs and licks and putting whatever effect you want on them, and then it becomes Texas whatever. You know?
It's that Texas pride, you know, that's still.
Oh man,
you got the stamp on it, you know. Not you do have some other states that you know have that tag. You know, you got Chicago blues and
do
New
they
Orleans
have
jazz?
Janice?
Huh?
Do they have Janice? Do they have Buddy Holly?
Buddy Holly, you know, Billy Gibbons,
Waylon Jennings,
Aaron Johnson. I mean, so many of my guitar heroes are from Texas or specifically Austin. You know, Aaron Johnson and Chris Duarte and, you know, Ian Moore and Stevie Ray, all those guys. You know, so yeah, I mean, it is always something. I mean, I'm proud to be a Texan and be a part. However I can of the Texas music scene. It doesn't matter if it's metal or if it's blues or it's country. You know, I do enjoy all of it. You know, and really proud of the history that this state has offered.
You're carving your name right there on that list as you go on every show, every album.
Yeah, man. I you know, long time dream, man. I would love to be one of the Texas Tornadoes, the Buddy magazine. That was always kind of a Jimmy and Jim cry. You know, one of my good friends, we always talk about that. Man, that was kind of one of those things. You know, like kind of getting that Texas, you know, stamp of approval, you know, seeing that long list of great musicians that are on that, you know. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, you certainly got the look for it, man.
Thank you.
Right.
And I think if someone were to just make a vinyl decal of a silhouette of you, I think they'd know who it was automatically.
That's awesome, man.
You know what I'm saying?
Right on.
Like, you're creating a Jimmy
head.
Adcock brand here. You know? You don't even know.
I should capitalize on that, man, like John 5. You know,
No
Zach,
body,
you know.
no face, no nothing, just a black silhouette of your hair and your name right in the middle of it.
Right there.
I gotta work on that. I gotta get some T-shirts made.
Yeah, I'll make you a decal and we'll see how it looks. And I noticed, you know, your vest up there on stage, man. Fucking Warriors,
man.
You know, you look like a damn
fucking
warrior
movies,
up there.
man. Yeah, representing Ajax, man. The boys. You know?
That's
Did you ever talk to your bandmates and ask them, like, hey man, we gotta get you guys a vest too, you know? So
That'd be cool.
I'm
man.
not the only warrior on stage.
Right. That would be cool, man. But yeah, man. Again, one of my all-time favorite movies, man. Just so iconic, you know.
Absolutely. There's a documentary too. I'll tell you after the show. I'll have to look it up, but it's a documentary on basically those times when the Warriors came out. All that was based on like real shit in New
stuff,
York
yeah.
before they went through and cleaned it all up. You know, all them gangs and the cops were afraid to go in the neighborhoods and shit. And then the radio station even like, talking about what's happening.
Cool.
You know, it's like, damn, I was born way too late.
Yeah, me too, apparently. I'm like,
We'll start our own gang. So, what do you guys got coming up then in the future?
We'll see. Well, we got a show this Friday at the Rail. You know, glad that's back open and able to play on that awesome stage again.
There.
That'll be for Slam and Jay's birthday party. We're playing there
Very
with
cool.
Blackout and Euthanasia, the Megadeth tributes. And then we'll be at the Ridgely Room in Fort Worth on September the 14th. And that is a build, I think, is the first annual Shred Fest. And it'll be put together by Matthew Sean Chapman, guitar player for 383.
Oh, yeah, 383, that's right.
So that'll be with us, Blackout also, and Adam Nanez Band. Fucking killer original kind of fusion guitar player, local guy. So,
Shredfest. So it's
kind of focusing on showcasing guitar
guitars.
players. So yeah, that'll be awesome.
Do you think there might be guitarists out there that might get butt hurt? They weren't invited, kind of thing. You know? 'Cause Maybe some egos damaged or something.
You can only
I don't know,
read
man.
so
I mean,
many
I know they're
people
going to
on the
have I know Matthew's hoping to, make it
I'm just stirring some shit.
a yearly thing, so mix it up a little bit. But man, there's so many great local players. You
Yeah.
know, I'm lucky enough to be, good friends with many. You know, I'm a huge fan. Jim Cry from Volume Dealer and Primal Concrete Cowboys.
Yeah.
Jimmy Fritz. Creeper. Two of my favorites. But there's so many.
And you guys actually
Great
have a
ones.
little side project going, the Jamigos, right?
Yeah, when we can manage to get us all three in the same room,
Yeah,
that's
it's more
been
like
a lot of
just a-
fun. I mean, we were originally planning on doing the show this Friday at the Rail, but man, we just haven't been able to
Yeah.
get together to put a set together again. But man, I mean, that we talked about that at the birthday party here last
Yeah.
month, and it's crazy, of all those projects we've all been involved in over the years, like nothing has kind of gotten that much interest so quickly as those videos did that we did, and it was just kind of just us goofing around.
Yeah.
Hey man, we're all named Jimmy, let's get together and jam on some stuff and just throw it out there, and we really should capitalize on that. And
Agreed.
It's crazy how that works, right? Like
Yeah.
the thing you put the less effort in gets the most
Right.
like feedback. Gets
Yeah.
the best reception, like the thing you try less hard to do. You can try hard as fuck as this with this band over here and get like a less reception, but then you just jack off over here
Right.
and all of a sudden it blows up. You know,
Right.
it's like so.
Look
hey.
at Adam Sandler's career.
But man, it's like I'm juggling all these different projects. It's like I wish I had more time, to like do all this other stuff and everything. But we have to make the time to do that and really do it right and correctly. We've kind of got the plan together of what we want to do beyond those initial videos. And
Yeah.
I think we jammed at my wife Angie's birthday party last year. Did a little short set of some metal covers acoustically. But man, we really need to do it upright. Maybe like do like some kind of a live video
Do it
thing
right here on PullgetterTV.
man, we should.
Come and play over here.
We need to do that. We got to set a
that would be
goal, a
awesome.
date, and commit to it. So that'd be a lot of fun.
Absolutely. And you guys are, you're all, like you said, are all in your respective bands. That takes so much time, and scheduling. So I totally understand, but you guys are really good friends, and it's always on the back burner at least.
Right.
You guys are never
Yeah.
going to throw in the towel on that project.
No, I don't think so.
Good.
Yeah, we're support each other and just support. I try to support as many bands as I can when I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I've got so many friends locally in original bands and tribute bands. It doesn't matter to me. I just I dig going out and seeing live music. And
So tell me
Every-
about this first album you guys have right here, which is what we're watching some of the songs on here, even though you guys just heard a new one, Siren, and did you play a couple of new songs that show? Right?
I think that was we did. Yeah, the other song was Insidious. Was
There you go,
the other
that's
new
it.
one? Yeah. So this one came out a little over a year ago. Actually, I think we did the release party on that one at the John 5 show we did at Trees with him in 2018.
Wow. So you chose that show to do your release party.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Pretty,
yeah. I mean, it
pretty
made
clever,
sense.
pretty
It was like
badass.
we had to. It was a pretty rush job on getting everything finalized. Good friend and former bandmate Mark Strophus with my old band Seventh Veil, and currently the band Allison Red. He helped out with all the design of the artwork and the
dig it. That's
graphics
kind
and
of
everything, and a really great Design Lab 72 is his
okay.
company.
Pretty cool.
So if anyone needs any kind of artwork for flyers or website, he does all that great work. But yeah, so we chose that. We figured it was as good of an opportunity as we could have chosen to do that. With the kind of the target group that we're trying to market with, and
You got some mystique going on here.
a little bit, yeah, with the
Some possession going
right,
on, a
right.
chick floating in air. You guys haven't seen it, you can go and check it out. It's their Facebook cover right now, so go check out Nytrate on Facebook and follow them and everything. Keep up with what's going on.
That was an album that didn't just come out yesterday. Is it all the same band members that are on that album that are currently on your lineup?
our bass player on that album was Zevron. Also,
Zev.
Zev from Trouble Plus One,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Okay.
So he had a lot of the concept on the the photo and the artwork and everything on there, and kind of basing it really around more of the lyrics that Allie's done. Me, to be totally honest, I'm just a guitar nerd, so
Yeah.
that's all I focus on. With the writing is like, man, where can I wedge in this cool lick and this cool lick and everything? I usually don't even realize like what any of the songs are about until the album comes out, and I'm looking at the lyrics. I'm like, well, I had no idea this is what we were talking about, you know? So yeah, I mean, if Allie was here, I know she could go much more in depth in her inspiration and what she writes about, you know. I mean, it's very deep lyrics, you know, so I don't even want to kind of like put my take on it, you know, but a lot of it is like one of the songs on there, Insane. A lot of it has a lot to do with like, you know, pretty deep, you know, mental thoughts. And she, you know, I think half jokingly talks about how a lot of these songs are, you know, based on, you know, ex-relationships or ex-husbands and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that, but again, that's kind of the cool thing with the band. You know, everybody kind of has their own thing that they're wanting to kind of get out, whether it be lyrically or musically, and they just do their thing, and it all kind of comes together, you know.
Maybe this is a better question for Allie, I'm not sure, but in case you know, has there ever been a time that y'all have sat down, and I say this in confidence that she wouldn't get upset about this, because myself, this happened to me as a singer. So, has there ever been a time that you guys have looked at the lyrics and been like, I don't know if I really want to get behind that, that's a little much?
For me, no. I mean, again, because I just, you know, I'm just thinking about like, man, you know, can I put in this like F minor 7 arpeggio in there? Can I throw in these like, you know, that's what I'm thinking about, you know. So hey, man, whatever, you know. So that's pretty much it, man. You know.
Hey, all right, Pam, can you do that thing up there? But you know, you described her voice, and as we could see, you know, it's like Heart and Judas Priest and stuff, and you said this is her first really opportunity to do a heavier kind of thing. So do you see you guys bring that out of her, like as far as the evolution of her voice or whatever? Because she does seem like she could do like the Heart stuff and maybe Stevie Nicks and stuff, but then she goes into growling, you know, and kind of putting force behind her words and everything. So did you guys kind of brought that out in her, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think it kind of just came out organically just from her having the ability to kind of do her own thing with the lyrics and the vocal melodies. You know, she did sit on some of the early songs. She did sit and work out some stuff with Eddie, you know, who again, you know, the original guitar player that wrote a lot of the riffs and everything. But for the most part, you know, she's kind of had free reign on just what she wants to do, and I know she takes it very seriously. And you know, I'm definitely looking forward to, you know, the new material and how it progresses. You know, with with Taco's influence on the writing and mine and hers together, just kind of, you know, seeing where it goes. You know, still trying to keep, you know, the basic theme and the foundation, but just seeing where it grows from this first release.
Yeah, new albums and new songs are always exciting.
Yeah, definitely.
Do you have a name for this? Well, you don't have a full album yet.
I mean, I guess this is a kind of a I don't know, I guess you would call it a double EP. It's got 8 songs on there. But, you know, a lot of bands are doing that more so now. You know, it seems like the EP is kind of the in vogue thing to do. You know, just put out, you know, 3 or 4 songs and release it, and then, you know, the whole out. You know, people don't really absorb full albums anymile like we did. You know,
unless
where it's like the whole experience. You know, again, kind of going back to the John 5 thing and what he's even done with his past few albums. He'll release like, you know, 2 or 3, you know, maybe 4 singles, you know, one every 3 or 4 months, and then put out an album.
My guess on that has always been because once the shift changed to where, I mean, it used to be the only way you could get music is to go buy an album, buy a CD, buy a record from a store. Now you get it online for free. So the only way to really push that product is to figure out a way to sell those hard copies. And when you have to sell those hard copies at a show, people are more likely going to spend $5 on a 3-song album than they are $20 on a 10-song album.
Right.
So if you can sell 5 3-song albums, you're making the same amount of money as one other album. So I mean, it's economics, and unfortunately, it's the way it goes.
I think financing has a lot to do with it. You know, because bands are financing their own albums, so. 8 songs is easier to finance than 12 songs.
When you're paying $200-$300 for an 8-hour block of time,
and then it
takes 8 hours to do half a song.
You got to duplicate it yourself, you know, and the artwork and everything. That's a lot of money into one album. So you kind of you handpick the best songs you got, save the others for later, you know, and then release the best. Every album though in that aspect is the greatest hits album, right?
Yeah, that's right, man. Yeah, choosing the best of the best. Yeah, we recorded that actually. Right down the street from here at Session Works.
Session Works,
Jeff,
man.
I love
man.
Session
Seems
Works.
like
dude.
every band that comes in here hits
man,
up Session Works,
and they
man.
are
Jeff,
amazing.
He is so
That
great,
place
man.
is,
For me, it was one of the easiest and funnest recording experiences, that I've done. I think one, just being, having played as long as I have now, I felt like I went into the session a little more comfortable and more prepared than I had in the past. But I mean, everything went so fast, and he worked so fast. He's so easy to work with, and really kind of tunes into what you're wanting to get out of the recording session, and kind of all business, man. We just went in there and knocked things out. I think we did all the drum tracks in one afternoon, performed all that live, and then I went back in a few weeks later and knocked out all the rhythm guitar parts in like 2 hours, and then went back in on one other session for a couple hours and did all the solos, and I think we were kind of finished up, in the grand scheme of things, within just like a few weeks of recording, and then he had the whole thing, mixed and done in like, I don't know, 3 or 4 days.
what
We
makes
definitely
Session
got to
Works-
get him in here.
Yeah, definitely. And what makes Session Works so good, in my opinion, is that the recording. There's only a few recording artists, first of all, that are in there. I say recording artists. That's not what I meant. Engineers. There's only a few engineers that are in there, and the engineers that are in there have a vast love of all music. So they're not in there with their feet kicked to one side, going, "God, I wish this was over. Start over. Start over."
Yeah, getting annoyed and everything.
Yeah, it isn't that way. They're going, "Oh man, this is something new, something cool. I've not heard this." And then when you leave that night, they're willing to spend an extra hour on it because they're loving the way things are. And that's just, it's so hard to find anymore because it becomes the daily grind, the monotony for each one of these engineers, and just not at Session Works. Every
Right.
time I've been in Session Works, they love what's going on, whether it be my band or the band next to them, and it doesn't matter whether you're a rap artist or a
Right.
country artist or a metal artist, they're in there just loving it. So, I mean, it makes a world of difference. Session Works is really a great place
and
to go.
I still love the old school way of recording. I know, everything is all Pro Tools now, and we had started when we first started doing some tracking for this album. We were using another guy, and it was like playing to a click with just the guitar riff and no drums, and man, I'm just like behind the times when it comes to that, man. I really want to jam with the band and at least capture the initial vibe of the drum tracks and the rhythm tracks and everything live, just
No
playing to a
crutches.
click with no vocal cues or anything like that. It was just so uninspiring, I guess I could say. So I really like the old school studio vibe. It's just the way I've always recorded, I mean, so yeah, I really dig that about the, Jeff's business and how it works. So I'm really looking forward to going in and doing our next album there.
Do you like industrial music?
Not really, can't say I'm that familiar with a lot
That's
of
why I
it.
asked. You're not down with the click tracks and the electronic stuff. That's why I asked.
Man, I have no experience with it. I mean, friends with the guys in Rivethead. We've done quite a few shows with them, but I have no.
I love those guys, man.
They're great at what they do, but I just have no connection with that style of playing and everything. I've never really used any kind of live tracks outside of some keyboard stuff. I mean, it's hard to find a keyboard player,
Right.
especially for like rock or metal or whatever. So I have done that in the past, but all the other stuff, I know it's always a big debate online on Facebook and everything about all the bands using tracks, and I mean, I have no experience with it. I don't really. I wouldn't even know how to do it. I know it's like, we'll play some shows, and every now and then a sound guy seems like they're surprised that we have no tracks or anything. But man, I've never known how to perform any other way,
Yeah, totally.
I can't play with tracks myself. It's not that I don't love it. I love industrial.
Yeah.
But that's just not my style of playing or even singing. To me, the happy medium is keyboards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because at least you have a live person, and
Yeah.
when you're playing to a track, you start your track with your trigger, and then you better be spot on.
Right.
And if the band is messing up around it, that track keeps playing no matter
Yeah,
what.
it throws everything off.
So
there's
and then-
Just
no
ask
room
Milli
for
Vanilli.
improv.
yeah. So the good thing about having a keyboard player as your backing tracks is if the band's effing up and you gotta recenter, they can do that with you.
Right, yeah.
So thank
On the
God for
fly.
that.
Well, Pam, can you cue up the next video, please? Hey, Nikki, Melanie, Joy, Donna, thank you guys for tuning in. We're here with Jimmy Adcock tonight of Nytrate and Texas Surfers and a third of the Jamigos. So we'll be playing sometime within the next 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
You never know.
hopefully right here on PullgetterTV.
Yeah, man,
Hopefully right here on PullgetterTV
Yeah, when we
live
get
for
too
you
old
guys.
for the metal, man, we'll break it down acoustically, and
Absolutely, man.
can't stand up and rock it anymore. We'll sit on some stools. And
Big shout out to Black Star Republic last week. If you guys missed that show, they played We're all just magic. I was all. I don't know.
What's up, everybody? Thanks
back?
for I think we're
Right
back.
on.
I think
Good job.
Anyway, what's up,
paying
everybody?
Earn that
Amanda,
money.
Nikki, everybody that joined in. What's up, Jennifer? All the way from states away, Miss Dodd. Good to see you.
Yeah, my boy Chaz. What's up, homie?
Right on.
Yeah, I
Well,
knew that dude since one of my earliest friends there, man. Really cool to see his
Oh.
name pop up there.
right on, man. I'm glad everybody's tuning in and watching. You guys are awesome out there.
A big shout out to the Metal World scene, right, on Facebook. Like,
Yeah.
They let us share our stuff there, and a lot of cool conversations going on in there, worldwide. So
Absolutely.
people from India and shit are talking about metal bands over in India and stuff.
It's
So.
freaking greatness. I love to see the camaraderie go way beyond just the DFW and go all the way out in the United States, and then from the United States out to all the other countries, and it's metal all the way around, no matter what it is. It's all one big freaking family. I love that, man.
Speaking of worldwide, Jimmy Adcock. You ever go on tour and hit up these do regional or
Man,
national?
I have, I've done a lot of, regional playing around the tri-state area and everything, but, haven't done any, I would love to do, some kind of a tour overseas. I'd love to go to Europe and play and everything. Haven't had the opportunity yet, but there's still time. So being a musician, you gotta be pretty creative to make a living at it.
Yep.
And, gosh, I've talked to a lot of people over the years, that have been in famous bands or been on tour and everything, and man, I kind of learned early on that if you're going to try to make it in the music business, you had to be really as diverse and creative as you can, So, a lot of these guys that I do look up to and admire that are out touring, and that being their kind of livelihood, just as a musician, because again, that's me. I'm not a main songwriter in a band. I just kind of play guitar with guitar solos. So if I did get in a band to be able to do that, it would be that scenario, just like a hired gun. So you're not, just for an example, like say Sebastian Bach or someone like that's out touring. They're getting the bulk of the money. They have a great band around them, but those guys in that band, when that tour ends, they gotta find the next gig that they can jump onto, or they're crashing on someone's couch or whatever. It's like if they're not out touring, they're not making any money.
Right.
So I would love to do that, but I got to kind of keep that in mind.
Of course.
Have you heard of that documentary Hired Hand?
Yes, Hired Gun.
Did you? Hired Gun.
Yeah, it's a
You
great
watched
one,
that?
man. Yes, I did.
That's exactly what that documentary is about. I didn't know until I watched it that the singer from Filter was a hired gun for 9 Inch Nails. And he wasn't getting paid, and he was bitching at Trent Reznor for it. And he said, take your credentials from 9 Inch Nails and go start your own band. Get your own members and pay them like I pay you, and you bank the money, right? So, and that's what he did, Filter.
Yeah. So I have 2 quick questions for you. First one would be if you weren't, obviously you're a musician and so forth. If you were if music was taken away from you and you had to put this much passion into the next thing, what would that be
question.
for you?
Man, if I could go back, I was actually just talking to someone about this a couple of days ago, but if I could go back and if I was like, 16, 17, 18, and choosing another career path, something that I've always been kind of equally as fascinated in as music that I think I could have been as passionate about. I love like surfing, beach volleyball, so kind of crazy, but but I don't live in that, wasn't brought up in that region or area to where I would have had that opportunity. Where can you go like surfing around here, Right. I actually did go out a couple of years ago to where is it, to Benbrook Lake, I think it was, and did some I guess the wake surfing,
the 1 foot breakers.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah,
On is a good buzz, some tasty waves, and I'm good.
But yeah, man. I could have totally seen myself, kind of put everything into that,
surfing. Okay.
But again, living in Texas here, I've never really had the opportunity. I've been wanting to go down and check out. I know there's the place in Austin that they just opened up like a year ago with the wave, kind of the
wave pool thing.
Wave pool thing.
Yeah.
And they got the place down in Waco that's really cool. I've gone down there. They have like the big giant, those crazy slides that shoot off
blast you off into space. Yeah,
and they put in a big surf wave pool there. But I don't know. When I was younger, I wanted to be a truck driver. I kind of wanted to do that.
You can still do that,
and I could. So I do still have that I can fall back on, man. I can still make it doing that. I grew up watching all the truck driving movies of the '70s. Smokey and the Bandit and BJ and the Bear, and Moving On, and all that stuff. So I was always fascinated by trucks, and actually,
What was the horror movie where all the semis?
Maximum Overdrive, man. Yeah, it was a great movie, man. A great soundtrack, all AC/DC.
Yeah, no kidding.
So I was still kind of wanting to do that, through, I guess, middle school and high school. I kind of thought that's what I would do, and then I started playing guitar kind of late. I was almost 17, late, relatively speaking. I've got all these students now that are playing when they're like, 7, 8, 10. I would have loved to have started or had that inspiration back then, but I didn't again, I didn't grow up around anybody that really played music either, so it was
Well, you got to
kinda
hit
late.
puberty, man.
Yeah,
Get
you know,
them feels
man,
going,
yeah,
you know?
you see the-
You got to be heartbroken
Right,
and
that,
hate and
or
anger.
see the uncensored Motley Crue video and like all the chicks, man,
Yeah.
they're cruising around.
I
and
hit
like
puberty at 7
the
years
limos
old to
with the
that
hot
video.
tubs, and like, wow, man, that's what I want to do. So yeah, when I started playing the guitar, I remember saving up my money. Got my first job at a beer store in Grand Prairie, and I spent all my afternoons on weekends in the freezer, like stocking beer, and I saved up
Fun.
money to get my first guitar, and went and signed up for guitar lessons at Grand Prairie School of Music, and left that guitar lesson, and I thought, man, I think this is what I want to do.
That's what it is right there.
And so
There's
from
your
that
niche.
point, man, that's like all I did, man. I just started practicing, hours a day. It went from like 1 hour a day to eventually it was like 6-7 hours a day, and I'd stay up all night practicing and just trying to make up time, thinking man, it's like I wish I started when I was like 12 or 14. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of been that same thing since then. I mean, I still practice like crazy, all the time. I have a music school, that I kind of got inspired from my original teacher. He offered me a spot filling in for him. I think I've been playing guitar for about 8 months. And he had to go on the road with his band for a few weeks and asked me to if I'd be interested in filling in for him while he was gone. And at the time, I thought he was kind of crazy. I'm like, man, I've only been playing for like 6-8 months, man. So I don't know how to play anything. He's like, no, man. He goes, you're as good as anybody else taking lessons here. He's like, this guy's working on a Bon Jovi tune. This guy's doing a Pink Floyd song. This guy's doing a Hendrix song. So it's like, wow, man. It's like, okay, if you think I can do it, I'll try it, So I did that for a few weeks and discovered I really liked it. I learned a lot,
Right.
Not knowing what these other people were into. And so then I started teaching a few kids a few years younger than me in high school. And then about a year or so later, my teacher who I was still taking lessons from, he got transferred to another music store in Haltom City and offered me a teaching gig there. He didn't want to teach anymore, just wanted to do retail. And that kind of really got me in the door of teaching. And I found I really loved it. Like I said, I never knew what anybody was going to bring in and want to learn. There were times that I felt like I was maybe a half hour better than the person coming in for a lesson. I kind of knew what they wanted to work on.
Like they end up showing you shit.
Sometimes, man, I would go, man, okay, this guy's wanting to learn this country stuff. So one of the benefit of that store that I worked at, they had this massive sheet music department of all these lesson books and everything. So there were a lot of times I'd go in there and pull out a country lesson book, and I'd work up some licks or riffs or whatever, and I'd 20 minutes later, I'm in there, okay, well, here's how you do this.
Oh, wow.
And man, it was awesome. And so that kind of ignited another passion for me aside from just playing music. I really love teaching. So
was it Tony's or Melhart? Where
it
was
it was CNS music off of
CNS.
Airport Freeway.
Okay.
And so yeah, in 2001, I started Arlington School of Music, and we're about to go into our 19th year of the school there. We do I do guitar lessons, but we do piano, voice, drums, violin, saxophone,
Cool.
all the main
Violin,
instruments.
all that?
Violin. mhm.
Sweet.
you.
Some flute?
I
like
do have a flute. I do have a flute teacher. It's that don't get a lot of calls for it.
I need to learn some
Flute.
Jethro
Some heavy
Tull
metal
tunes,
flute,
man. Aqua
So,
Lung.
You look like a flute player, Grog.
Yeah, so do you.
Thanks.
Skin flute.
Yeah,
motherfucker.
that's where I was going with it.
I know. I beat you to it, though.
Beat the skin flute. So, okay,
You
second.
stand on one leg when you do it?
So it's middle. Other question for you, and this one's on the lighter end, but we're gonna test your quickness here.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
So, say one night you went to sleep. When you woke up, you found yourself in the basement of a mad scientist, right? He's got you pinned to a bed, and what he tells you as he looks you in the face is you have 10 seconds to answer this question, but you can elaborate on why all you want afterwards. If you were to make a hybrid of you and another animal, in other words, if you were going to lay with any animal under the sun in order to make a hybrid superhuman, superhero version of you, what animal would it be, and exactly why would that be?
I guess it would probably have to be a wolf. I've always liked wolves. I mean, me and my daughter, she's recently just turned 22. We kind of grew up together, or she grew up, being into wolves and all these, different movies and everything. So I don't know. I've always just been kind of drawn to the mysteriousness of the wolf. I grew up out in the country of East Texas, and I used to hear him, out in the woods behind our property, howling at night. And when I was really little, I remember them getting into our chickens and stuff. I had those when I was really really little. But yeah, I guess me and my wife were talking about that a while back about what my favorite animal or our favorite animals were. So yeah, it would have to be a wolf.
Fucking one-man wolf pack.
There you go. Y'all looked at me like I was crazy, but he just had the conversation with his wife recently.
Yeah, so yeah.
I was just wondering where the hell that question.
Yeah, I could blend somehow that into like my warrior name or something.
Yeah. You're that superhero version of you. It's part wolf. I mean, got the mane for it.
That was a good question. Yeah.
Anyway, so you said that you've got obviously the albums coming up and so forth. You spoke about the show that you've got coming up on Friday. I think you also said that you have a show that's coming beyond that in September, maybe?
Yeah, September 14th at the Ridgely Theater, the Shred Fest with 383 Blackout and the Adam and Nez
That's the
Band.
Shred Fest. Okay.
Now, is that in the theater? Or is that
That's in the Ridgely room.
Okay.
Yeah, which I really dig. I dig playing there, man. I've recently played there with Nytrate back in August for the Tier reunion show. That was a great experience. I mean, that kind of was the bands that were a part of that was kind of the beginning epicenter of my local playing career, and those guys too. We all kind of started the same time in about 93, 94, hitting the local scenes. I mean, I've just missed out on all the fucking killer clubs, Never got to play Dallas City Limits. I never got to play the Basement. I remember...
What about JJ's Blues Bar?
I have played JJ's before. My early version of the Texas Surfers in like '93 or '94. We'd go out and hit all the local blues jams, and got to play there. And I missed that place,
and
man.
Jubilation too. Texas, around here, there used to be a huge blues scene in the.
Man, when I started the
90s.
Surfers, again, that kind of goes back. That kind of predates by a year or so my entry into like the local rock metal scene. And me and the bass player at the time, his name was David McKnight. He's actually the guy that coined the name Texas Surfers. We would literally sit down every week on a Sunday and plan out our weekly blues jam tour.
Oh, nice.
We'd pull out the Buddy magazine or Jam magazine. And back then, the blues scene was so huge and thriving locally. I mean, every night of the week, Sunday through Thursday, there would be a blues jam going on. There'd be like Monday night at the Greenville Bar and Grill. I think Tuesday was at the Bone, which is now Wits End and Deep Ellum. I think Wednesday there was one at Fatso's in Arlington. There was Jubilation on. I think that might have been on Monday
over here
too.
by the mall.
Yeah, right by the mall.
Really?
I mean, Bobby Counts hosted that blues jam.
Bobby Counts,
man.
yeah.
And I saw I learned so much. Saw so many incredible players back then.
You remember Robert Ely?
Robert Ely, yes,
Yeah,
he
the
did that.
harmonica.
Yes,
My mom used to
I
jam
got to
with him
jam
all
with
the
that
time.
guy at Fatso's. At that
Yeah, I
jam.
missed out on all this.
Yeah, Robert Ely
unfortunately.
and his guitar player, I think, still playing locally. You got him, Tony Summers. But man, there's so
that's
many
right.
legends,
That's right,
man.
Tony,
That we, Sam Myers at the Bone with Hash Brown. Man, I learned a lot. Actually, another story I've recently shared was my first blues jam that I went to. When me and that bass player decided to start hitting these to see what was going on with them, we had heard about the one at the Greenville Bar and Grill. So it was like, well, everybody's talking about this one. This must be the one to go to. So we get out there on a Monday night, first time doing this. And we got there early, like at 7 o'clock, put our name on the list, thinking we're going to, we'll get right up and do our thing. We had a couple of traditional songs picked out we're going to do. I think we're doing like a Howlin' Wolf tune and a Muddy Waters tune and then a CCR tune that we were going to do.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
And so we put our name on the list, and we sit there, and people start filing in and putting their name on the list. And of course, they had a host band there that kind of kicked things off before they started calling people up.
Yeah, they usually did that.
Yeah.
Like most places.
Then they start calling people up, and a few people that was like, well, they got here after we did, and an hour goes by and we haven't been called up yet. And I'm like, man, when were we going to go up? So I went up there and make sure our name was still on the list. And it's like, oh yeah, we're going to get you guys up. We're going to get you guys up soon. 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock rolls around. They must have, 20 people have been up there, jamming, and we're still sitting there like, dang, man, when are we going to get up here? I went up there again. It's like, oh yeah, we're getting you guys up here real soon. 12 o'clock, 12:30.
Wow.
It's like, dang, man. So like finally around 1 o'clock, I went, oh, we're getting you guys up next. We're up next. And now like everybody, again, this was my first entry into that blues scene. I didn't really know who any of these people were, but
Right.
they were all great and everything.
Yeah.
And come to find out, these were like some really local, legendary,
Right.
players and everything. And they finally, call us up. It's our turn, and get up there and I unzip my gig bag, and the guitar I had chosen to take at that night was a pointy headstock Charvel.
Yeah.
Now I had a couple of Fender Stratocasters. That's always been kind of my guitar choices, Strats and Tellys and everything. But I'd recently got this Charvel, and it was so easy to play and like really shred on everything, flat neck and low action and everything. Immediately, the girl that was kind of in charge of the jam, she comes running over and she's like, what exactly are you guys going to play tonight?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, we've got this Muddy Waters tune and a Howlin' Wolf tune and a CCR tune. And she's like, kind of looked at us questioning, like, okay, and kind of slowly stepped back. And we got up and played. And then she comes over after we're finished. She's like, wow, you guys were great. And I'm really sorry about, taking so long to get you guys up and, come out again and we'll get you right up and everything. But that was my first entry into the whole, like the blues clique, It's like, man, you don't go into a blues jam.
You got to earn your way. Yeah.
You got to earn your way, and you can't show up with a pointy headstock guitar at blues jam, So quickly I learned that lesson real fast, showed up with the Strat at all the next ones. And then a few weeks later, I think I learned my second lesson at a blues jam at Schooners over by SMU, and we had our list of like traditional blues tunes we were doing and what we called like alternative blues or more modern blues, were like the Hendrix or Stevie Ray stuff that wasn't just your old school three chord stuff, And so we would always do a couple of traditional blues songs and end it with something a little bit wilder on the spectrum, like a Hendrix tune. Well, I brought a Tube Screamer with me and plugged that in, and after we were done playing, I literally got, verbally raped by the owner of that, vintage Fender amp for plugging a overdrive pedal into his prize. Soiled his circuits in that. So
did it really?
No, that's the way he made it sound. It's like, oh my god, yeah, right.
Okay.
So you learned a lot. That was like,
dude, my mom was a blues singer in the 90s, so I was there. I was like 14, 15 years old, taking my Washburn, because she would want to get me on stage and play like that Tracy Chapman tune or whatever, So I'd go up there and, my 14, 15-year-old ass, I didn't get to see the fucking stage at all. My guitar sat there, and I waited, and then I'd pick up my guitar at the end of the night, and we went home, because none of the blues legends are going to let this kid up there, and fuck with their time on stage.
Right, of course.
But, I mean, and I really didn't respect it as much back then, being a kid, as I would now. I really wish it would come back.
Man,
we got to get you back on with some other cats that were around there and do a blues night.
That would be cool, man. There's some great players, man, that I saw at that time. One of my favorites is Pat Boyack. He was in a band called the Prowlers back then. Now he's playing with his project is the Javelinas. He's got Kenley Wolf on bass, who's kind of a local legend from Lord Tracy, band Lord Tracy.
Okay.
But yeah, again, he kind of, I think, was kind of new to the area around that time. In the early 90s.
Them politics were real, man. You go in there, you can play, you'll get your time. Yeah. But until you establish yourself, you have to earn your right to get an earlier time slot and be, in the class with these other local legends.
Yeah. Wow. I don't think I ever made it into the clique, but man, we've spent a good year and a half, man. That's what we did every week. We'd sit there and plan out, we're going to this jam and this jam and this jam, and it was great. It was a great learning experience, and like I said, looking back on it, I think I went into it like really open-eyed and wanting to learn, but now looking back on it and realizing that it's not what it was at the time. I mean, I like you, it's like I wish I could even go back and appreciate and respect it even more, because of those guys like Robert Ely and seeing those guys that had been.
Do you recall a guy named Rollo Smith?
Dude, I was about to say that. He was
blind,
yes,
but the dude played slide guitar like.
Yeah, when you brought a Jubilation with Bobby Counts, that dude, when I saw him play, within one song, I'm like, I've got to take lessons with this guy, because he incorporated all this killer like jazz stuff into his blues playing. And I took some lessons from him. I remember, man, he lived in like the hood. I don't even remember where it was at, but I remember just going to his house, and again, he was blind, so he probably didn't know. But I'm like, whoa, man, But dude, I still have my lesson sheets of stuff that I'd written down from lessons with him, and that dude, he was a Texas Tornado, but that guy was incredible on the slide guitar, and just his vocabulary of how he spoke with his note selection was just, it wasn't just the traditional pentatonic, blues stuff. I mean, it was very sophisticated, I don't know if he's still with
guy was
us
a-
or
I don't know either.
But
I mean,
man, dude, that
it
dude
all
was
just kind of went
amazing.
away, and that's why we need to come and get some of
Yeah.
the key players to talk about it because
Yeah.
it's really it was really a time for blues here that should always be remembered.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
I doubt it'll ever come back the way it was,
Right.
because it was really something special. I mean, it was right after Stevie Ray Vaughan had passed. It
Yeah.
was all around that time, and those of you guys who know Doyle Bramhall, it wasn't uncommon to see him step in and play drums at these venues.
Yeah, I saw him at Fatso's a couple of times, you know, the club that was over there about where Guitar Center in Arlington is now. It ended up being, after Fatso's, it was, I think, Tin Lizzy's for a little bit, and then it turned into, after Tin Lizzy's, I think it turned into Metal Bar. I'm drawing a blank, but I actually saw Iced Earth and Nevermore on their first U.S. tour there, and that was probably like 97. You know, Jeff Loomis, I think he was like 17 years old.
Wow.
That band.
Wow.
Yeah. The Sanctuary is what it was called then.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Such cool times. So,
I actually remember
well,
the Sanctuary.
let's get back to some Nytrate
All right,
here.
man.
After this,
All right.
I'm going to have to cut that whole segment out, you know, because that's such a cool trip down memory lane for blues here. Let's check out this next video. Now, the video we saw last time, what song was that?
That was Know It All off the
okay. That's right.
off this album.
Yeah, and the songs too is like they're really catchy. Like, you know, after a minute of editing them, I'm already like kind of
That's cool, man. That's
on
awesome.
the inside. You know, I'm all
Right.
singing along with it and shit. So very catchy tunes, man. I dig it. So this third one is gonna be.
I'm not
You have
sure.
to hear it first. You don't do the same set every show.
We probably do the same songs. Just I don't remember how we mix it up. So this one might be that one. Insidious is from the inside.
Insidious.
So, yeah.
See, I labeled that one. Cool.
Yes,
So,
right on that one.
and is this a new song?
This is the second new song that, you know, probably our second single that we'll release off that.
I
next
think this is
upcoming
the one
album.
that really made me go, okay, it's got to be Lacey Connor that's her influence.
Okay,
in this song.
Yeah, I really love this tune. This is like one, you know, Taco wrote this main riff too, and kind of let us do our thing over it. So this is definitely one of the funnest ones in our set that I really look forward to playing.
Cool.
Awesome. Let's check it out.
It's her influence.
Okay, yeah.
All right, we got another new one. This one's called Insidious, and I did not write this one about my ex-husband. I did, however, write it about a man.
talking to each other.
On the inside, harmonize with me. On the inside. Yeah, I dig it, man. It's fucking catchy, you know. Fucking Warriors come out and play. Hell yeah, dude. We were just talking about that guitar you were playing. On that, you said you hijacked it from one of the Jamigos.
That's right. Yeah, that guitar actually belongs to Jim Cry. I remember when he got that, a couple of years ago, and I'm like, dude, that's a wicked guitar. I've never really played a V, but I just like really dug that. Some Michael Schenker model, a Kaleidoscope V, and I was like, dude, when are you gonna play that live? And he's like, yeah, it doesn't really fit with any of my bands or whatever. So like, dude, bring that over, let me play it. So I just haven't given it back yet. But yeah, the other guitars I use for Nytrate, my main one is a Dean Telly, which isn't really the model that's associated with Dean, but man, again, I guess in a sense, non-musical sense, that's kind of part of the country influence kind of crossing over. I've always loved Telecasters and the look of Tellys,
me too.
And I think it's kind of cool, playing one in a metal band, aside from John Five, doing the same thing, Jim Root from Slipknot, plays a Telly, and it's much more versatile guitar than a lot of people realize. I mean, you can kind of get any tone out of it, from country to blues to jazz to metal. So that's my main one. But yeah, I really have come to really dig playing that V on some of the songs in the set. The only tricky thing on that one, there's no fret markers on it. So it's weird, and there's some little dots on the on the side, but they're real faint, So it's like, and it's got this big kind of a sunburst thing around that 12th fret area, but it bleeds over to the 13th and 14th fret. It's really hard.
Not really good for beginners.
Yeah, right. Yeah, not even that good for me yet. So I got to play certain songs where it's okay. I don't have to we're not getting lost on there, but it's a great playing guitar. So. Sorry, Jim. I don't know when you're getting it back. If ever, working out something, pay him $1 a week for a while.
Yeah, exactly. And definitely borrowed. Whenever I was in a band, Jim Cry played one of the guitars you can see here. This Sunburst.
Yeah.
Dean, he plays one of those too, and he accidentally grabbed mine. And you talking about shitting a brick, man. I went to get my guitar to go load out. And I'm like, where the fuck is my guitar? And I'm like, Warren, where the fuck is my guitar? And it turned out, Jim had it. No big deal. Fucking, all these Deans floating around.
Right, yeah.
It's like bound to happen.
That is a definite scary feeling. And
your stomach drops.
Man,
but, I should have known, shit like that. You don't hear too much about equipment getting stolen here locally anyway,
Seen one band ever steal from another band, stole a record deal, and a bass player, and a bass from the bass player in the same night. And that was not one that I want to mention because that record deal they got was with Roadrunner Records, and I don't want to sit and talk shit.
Yeah,
but definitely.
In case they signed Vivid and Vulgar. Right?
Well, it was Mahuke. It was supposed to be. They were there. The scouts were there to see my old band Mahuke that night, and their manager wouldn't let us go on stage. They just told this band just keep playing, just keep playing, just keep playing. Fuck anybody else.
Whoa.
And Roadrunner. So then Roadrunner didn't get a chance to see us. They signed this band, and on the way out, the band grabbed up my bass player's bass and walked out with a record deal with Roadrunner and our bass.
Injury.
Crazy.
I've heard some other shady shit like that going on. Have you ever witnessed any of that firsthand as well? Like, let's say, for instance, Vinnie Paul walks into a venue back in the day, and the band that's playing has one more song left, and they see Vinnie walk in, they stay on for about another 15-20 minutes, and then the next band only has like 2 songs worth of shit because they want to perform in front of Vinnie and impress or whatever. Have you ever had
man, I'm sure I have. I've probably experienced and seen just about anything that could go wrong or goes crazy with I remember with one band, Seventh Veil, that I was with all through the 90s. I remember we played a show at the Canyon Club with opening up for Warrant. And we were supposed to be there like at 3 o'clock to load in and do a sound check. And their crew took so long to get their stuff set up and sound check. And they were just kind of lounging around the stage, not even really working that hard, really taking their time. And by the time that we were finally able to start putting our stuff on the stage, the doors opened, and all our stuff was like up by the front of the stage, waiting to go on. So we were literally having to set up as people were like pouring into the club and everything. And then they didn't have enough microphones to mic everything. So it was like 3 songs into a set before they even really got any kind of a level check, and it was that was a pretty chaotic gig, and that's just one of many. I think probably one of the coolest experiences I had was the very first road show that I ever did, and first national act that I got to open up for was Ronnie James Dio.
Oh,
and that was in '97. Actually, I think it was like late '96. It was on his Angry Machines tour, and he played in Lubbock. And we'd been trying to get out there, to do a show at a place called the Depot Warehouse, and had been in constant contact with the booking agent that ran stuff out in the area. And I remember it was on a Wednesday night. I was about to go to rehearsal, and I got a phone call from the guy's name was Lane Arnold, and he said, "Hey, you guys have been trying to get out here for a while now." He goes, "Would you guys be available to come out here Friday night and open up for Ronnie James Dio?" So I'm just like, yes,
right.
Yeah, we'll try to schedule it in. We'll pencil it in for you.
Man, what happened? I remember going. I couldn't get to practice fast enough, to tell everybody. It was like pre-cell phones and everything. Oh my God, and told them and what had happened. They were on tour with the Four Horsemen, a band called the Four Horsemen, and the Four Horsemen had gotten a fight or something, had broken up a few days prior to that, and the next day on the tour they were supposed to play with Dio was that Friday in Lubbock. So they, had us go out there. I remember it, barely. I mean, I think we must have taken like 4 vehicles out there. We didn't have a trailer or anything. We just hauled ass out there, and the whole time I'm just thinking, man, this is just too crazy and too good to be true. Something is gonna go wrong. I remember us getting to the venue, walking in. It was probably like at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe, when we got there, and Dio's crew was already there and had all their stuff set up on stage. And we walk in, and they come over and like, who are you guys? And we're like, I knew it, man. I knew it, But no, it ended up working out great. We told them, and it's like, okay, well, we didn't know about that with the Four Horsemen, but whatever. They said, just wheel your stuff in, and when we're done with sound check, we'll get your stuff up here and we'll do a sound check. So they literally sound checked all our gear, for us. They did, their crew did it. We got an hour set, which was kind of unheard of. I mean, still,
Right.
Even up until leading up right before we went on, I'm still thinking this is just too good to be true. The place was sold out. Now, granted, this was in 96, 97, so it wasn't, the peak for metal, but there was probably about 1,200 people there. And I remember walking across the parking lot into the back of the venue and seeing all the people packed from the stage all the way back and just going, wow, this is crazy. Biggest stage I'd played on up to that point. And I'm still thinking, man, I went up to the promoter and whoever was in charge of the show that night, and I said, are you sure we get an hour? And he's like, yeah. He goes, why? Do you guys not have enough material? I'm like, no, we do. I'm just still.
It's too good to be true.
And then he goes, right before we were supposed to go on, he comes up and he goes, what record label you guys want to be with? And we're like, what?
Whoa.
And he's like, I didn't even really know what he was talking about. He's like, never mind. He goes, I'll take care of it. And he goes on stage and he goes, please welcome from, Dallas, Texas, Sony recording artist, Seventh Veil, people went all crazy and everything, And all I really remember about the show, as great as it was just, in between every song, all the lights would go out. So it was like a real concert experience.
Wow.
It wasn't like the local show where the lights are always on. So when the song was over, the lights go out, spotlight right on the singer, so we could be over here changing guitars or tuning, and nobody could see what we're doing. Boom, next song starts. And that show went by so fast.
Oh, I bet.
But it was such a cool experience. People coming up, they let us sell our merchandise without even charging us anything. So we had our new CDs that had recently came out, shirts. We got to meet Dio and his whole band. Again, one of the nicest guys ever. He was so just welcoming to us, and people coming up after the show going, man, what's it like, touring with Dio? And I'm like, dude, you wouldn't believe it,
touring with
man.
him, dude.
Couldn't believe it. It's like, we got to be back at work at 7 o'clock in the morning, but we'll be driving all night. But man, it's great right now.
It was a short tour on our end,
but that was really cool. Couldn't beat that experience.
I'm sure Dio is pretty nice. You can't be like 3'9" and be rude.
Right? Yeah.
It was either really nice or really mean.
Right.
There's probably no in between. It's really
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, I still have the picture. He signed and like the passes and everything for that. He had Vinny at PC was on the drums for him. He had Tracy G on the guitar, and underrated album in my opinion. It was a cool show for the time. Those are kind of dark times though. Like the whole metal thing was kind of outside of I guess Dime and Zach were kind of the two guys kind of keeping it in the spotlight,
Yeah,
as far
you
as
said
that solid
96,
guitar players, man,
96,
that was bleak times, man, for the local metal scene around here. The clubs were opening and closing, just like it seems like
like it's doing right now.
yeah, kind of, I mean, I think the Tattoo Bar had just maybe opened or was about to open. When did that open? Maybe was it like 90?
I don't know, man.
Nine or so?
That Tattoo Bar was about when it was open and going strong was about when I joined the metal scene. So
Yeah.
about 15 to 20 years ago. So
Yeah.
around 17 years ago, I'm gonna guess.
I think that's where, isn't that where the Pantera guys got their tattoos and stuff?
Yeah, yeah.
Randy Adams or whatever.
Yeah, that's where Randy
This
Adams
next,
works.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're connected. Well, now it's the Aussie Rabbit.
The Aussie Rabbit, right? Mhm.
Which is it's an interesting bar. I don't know if you've ever been there. I don't
Yeah.
think they still do live metal at all.
And looking at it now, it's like, man, how did they have bands here? It's so
Right,
tiny
where's-
in there.
where's the
It's like, I
stage
don't
go?
remember where the stage was at.
Where there's a will, there's a way. Man.
That's true.
You never know. So out of all these other accolades, man, you jam with John 5 at your CD release party, and you open for the man Dio himself.
Yeah,
Is there
that was
anyone
cool.
else we might not know about?
The Mentors.
The Mentors,
Yeah, the
yeah, we did play with
Mentors,
the
right.
Mentors. I mean, I've got to, I've been lucky enough to, get to play with and open for, a good number of my
Adrenaline Mob?
heroes. Actually, yes, Adrenaline Mob was a great show, man. They were a kind of a big inspiration for what I kind of foresaw the sound of Nytrate. I was a huge fan of Mike Orlando's guitar playing,
Yeah, they're great,
and
man.
everything. And unfortunately, man, they had a lot of tragedy hit that band, to where they're just not going to do anything anymore. I think actually the day after we played that show with them at Gas Monkey, they were in a really bad accident on tour on their way to Florida for that
wow.
show, and their bass player was killed. And then one of their, I guess the tour manager maybe, she
Wait,
ended up
when was
passing
that? When
away.
was that?
That was 2 years ago, July of
I remember hearing
2017.
about
My
Yeah.
whole band, besides myself, was at that show.
Man.
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
we
Yeah,
actually hung
yeah,
out
it
and
was a
partied
huge
with them.
deal.
Holy
Motown,
shit.
you know Motown. From
Little Green Men?
Yeah, Little Green Men.
Yeah.
He was at that show, and we hung out for about an hour or two after that show, and on their little RV that they were touring in. And we're just drinking and hanging out and talking with them and everything. And then I'd left for a trip with my wife to Chicago the next day, and got the news like that afternoon. And it was so surreal because we're just hanging out with
Just
those guys
there,
the
right.
night before, and then one of the guys was gone.
Yeah.
So and that was like the second time that it happened. They had another accident that they were injured in, like on the previous tour, and then their drummer AJ Perro from Twisted Sister, he had passed away on the tour bus. It's like a lot of bad stuff plagued those guys.
Sounded like
but-
an ass. It's time for a new driver.
No,
yeah,
it was
actually,
their
it
fault.
wasn't
They
even their
got
fault.
hit.
Yeah, it's like a semi. A guy
Yeah.
fell
None of
asleep
it
or
was their
something,
fault.
and ran into the van and caught
Jeez.
fire. The whole thing burned to the ground.
It was
Crazy.
a fucking nightmare. Like
Yeah,
the
that's
worst thing you
crazy.
could think of to happen if you're a touring band.
Right.
That's like the worst case scenario.
But-
Because I think the
sucks.
female singer, did she live?
No,
know-
she ended up
But
passing
she
away
lived
like a few
little
months.
while
Yeah,
after that
yeah.
because they were trying to raise money. She was apparently burned really bad,
Right.
so they were raising money for her hospital bills, and then she ended up passing anyway. Man.
But, a
that
great
sucks.
band, man. Really, really loved what they did.
fucking
Ray
cool.
Allen, the singer, also from Symphony X, was, and he's such a versatile vocalist too. The completely different sounds, between those two bands and everything. But yeah, that was a great show. I'll always remember getting to open for them.
Wow.
But yeah, I know there's been quite a few others. We got to open up for, as far as some new bands that I really like, Night Demon. I've opened up for them a couple of times. They're from California. I think as far as like new music goes, they're probably my favorite band as far as a new artist that's came out in the past,
Are
10
they
or
a
15
signed
years.
national act or whatever?
They are. They're constantly touring. To me, when I've always kind of described their sound as a cross between like Motorhead meets UFO. All their songs are real fast and aggressive and heavy, but they've got these really catchy melodic guitar riffs.
Nice.
Songs are, kind of short, but they've got really great hooks. And but yeah, they're one of those bands that really works really hard. Because again, you have to if you're going to be out touring.
Right.
You've got to you just got to stay at it. You know, you can't really take breaks or you're not making any money and losing steam. You know, so much competition. You know, another Holy Grail. You know, we opened up for them at the Rail. You know, saw them for the first time opening for Marty Friedman 3 or 4 years ago, and then they came through doing a show with Night Demon, and then so we've gotten to open up for them. Archer's another one.
Up for Vivid and Vulgar once.
Yeah,
right. They're awesome.
Don't mean to toot my own horn, but toot. You know? So making these connections with these bands, have you ever explored them? Maybe hitting you up, it's like, hey man, we fucking jam with you here. Can you get us a gig in California, maybe? You know, on your home turf.
That'd be cool, man. I mean, I guess, you know, I probably dropped the ball on some of that stuff, you know, just feeling like, you know.
You gotta strike while the iron's hot.
You do, man, you do.
And you gotta get out to Cali and hit some of them tasty waves.
That's right, man. That would be a great opportunity to do that, you know. Yeah, I know, do you know David Manley?
Yeah.
Okay, you know, I mean, I had the open invitation since he's, you know, he lives out there right out on the beach. I think on Huntington Beach. Yeah. He's like, dude, you got to come out here, man, you know, for NAMM or whatever, and hit some, you know, take you out to see some of the waves and the surfing and everything, you know.
Nice. There you go, man.
So
Yeah.
I have to take him up on that one of these times going out there.
Totally. We're probably going to try to get out and see him in September. That's why we'll be gone.
Cool. Okay.
In September, going to
right on
Disneyland. You're going to Disneyland. That new Star Wars park or whatever. Got to check that out, you know. Well, fucking A. So what do we got next, Pam? I don't know if I labeled this song.
Merry-go-round.
Oh, Merry-Go-Round Around.
Oh, it's our Motley Crue cover.
Motley Crue cover.
That we did. I mean, we did this kind of a last-minute addition to the set, you know, so... actually, I think Allie wasn't even familiar with the tune, believe it or not, you know. But it was just something kind of throw in special for the birthday thing.
Yeah,
so,
it was a birthday gift from the band to you, right? You get to play Motley Crue, right?
I mean, hey, you know, they were the band that kind of got me into the whole idea of what it was like to be in a band, you know, see that, you know, and Mick Mars, man, he, you know, very underrated, you know, great slide player, very tasteful solos, and you know, so
and still doing it with all his back issues, man. Still up there kicking ass. I mean, a lot of people would have given up by now.
Right.
So thank you guys for tuning in. If you're watching right now, this might be the only time you get to hear it because last time we aired this show, Merry-Go-Round was muted by Facebook. So if you get to hear it now, you get to hear it now. You guys apparently did a really good job. Cool, the algorithms, you fucking were like on you.
Yeah.
Copyright violation.
Exactly.
We all decided to give Jimmy a birthday present as a band, and we're gonna do a cover song tonight just for him. Cause we love him. This is something from Motley Crue. Y'all may or may not know. It's called Merry-Go-Round. birthday soon.
Oh, is that the name of it?
I think, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, we are back with the one and only, huh?
No jokes.
No,
Oh, no jokes.
no jokes.
You interrupted me, Pam. How dare you? Shame. Ding. Shame.
Hell of a cover there, though. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Definitely cool, man. Good to see you jamming that multicolored guitar, dude. That thing's cool as hell.
The
It reminds me of,
Yeah, we have dubbed that the kaleidoscope.
The
The
Jim
kaleidoscope.
Kaleidoscope, yeah.
It looks like, if you remember back in the 80s, there used to be a whole clothing line everybody used to wear with it. It looked like a comic strip almost. Everything was
Right.
drawn, you know what I mean? That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Yeah, probably could have got that at Chess King or something like that.
Right, there you go.
Gadzooks.
Oh, yeah. Man, I love
Gadzooks.
Gadzooks. Before
suck.
I forget, you talked earlier about getting your first guitar, stocking beers in the freezer at
Yeah.
the beer store, saving up money for your first guitar. I meant to ask you 2 segments ago, what was that first guitar you got?
Yeah, so back then, there was no big chain music stores around. There was no Guitar Center yet, and I was so green, again, not knowing anybody that played, that I could ask, what to get. I'd seen, on actually as weird as it is, what gave me the inspiration to really want to play the guitar was a band called Pseudo Echo. They were an Australian band that did their kind of claim to fame in America was doing a remake of Funky Town, the 70s disco tune. And they did kind of a rocked up version of it. And for whatever reason, that video kind of struck me, just it showed a close-up of this dude doing a ripping guitar solo on it. And I was like, man, that looks kind of cool. I think I want to try to, learn how to play the guitar like that. And then at the same time, there was the movie Crossroads with Steve Vai.
Yeah,
in it,
Ralph
real
Macchio.
famous, Ralph Macchio, probably watched the ending of that movie 1,000 times.
Exactly,
It's such a
dude.
great, cool story, dueling with the devil's guitar player.
Totally.
Well, again, my only thing to find a musical instrument back in the time was like I was flipping through the Service merchandise catalog, kind of like the Sears catalog,
yeah.
and I saw this guitar and it looked just like the one that this dude from Pseudo Echo had, and his was a Fender Stratocaster, but I didn't know what that was. I didn't know what a
Right,
Fender was
right.
or a Strat. It looked just like it. It's like $100. I'm like, man, I can save up for like 3 weeks and I'll have enough money for that guitar or whatever. So I, went and picked it up at Service merchandise, went down to the local pawn shop in Grand Prairie and got me a Gorilla amp. That was kind of the thing that everybody had back then.
Those
50
were
bucks.
battery, right? Or
No,
those-
this one
okay.
wasn't. But man, gosh, it was hard. It was a hard road, trying to get a good guitar sound back then out of a cheap amp. Nowadays all the modeling technology, you can get a killer tone at a bedroom level for $50. But back then, man, it was like, man, how do these guys get their sound like that? But yeah, that guitar ended up being a Harmony. And
No shit.
Harmony. I actually still have it. It's hanging in my garage, And I remember going to my first guitar lesson, and the first thing my teacher said was like, "Man," he's like, "We got to get you a better guitar," because the action was like super high on there. But I didn't know, man. I'd started out. I'd order before I started lessons at that store. I'd order the Metal Method guitar lessons out of Hit Parader. Doug
I had
March.
those, like 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, metal licks, metal tricks, metal theory, and all that. And so I learned some stuff from that. And I think actually the first lick or little riff of a tune I ever learned was "Too Fast for Love." The Motley
Oh, wow.
tune. You could all play with just like one finger up, like a single string and everything. And so he tells me, he's like, "You got to get a better guitar." I remember trying to change strings on the thing, and they were using like an ice pick to get the strings out of the bridge. They were almost like welded in there,
Wow,
So
dude.
he, my teacher actually wrote me a note and got me out of school one day, picked me up. It's like probably the coolest story I have of my high school years, because I really wasn't a rebellious kid. I never really skipped school or skipped class or whatever, but it was kind of a big thing. It's like he wrote me this note, and I was able to present it to my teacher to get me out of school early, and he takes me to Eugene's Guitars in Oak Cliff. It was kind of like the really at the time a really famous local guitar shop before the Guitar Center and the bigger chains kind of came in and knocked him out. But he took me over there and helped me pick out my first decent guitar. It was a Schecter Strategy, and that kind of got me going for a year or so until I was able to afford my first like real Stratocaster and kind of went from there. But yeah, I do still have that Harmony guitar hanging in my garage.
It's weird how you kind of keep no matter what piece of shit it is.
Yeah.
I got a PV Predator was my first guitar.
Oh,
and I
right
still
on,
have
man. Yeah, I
that
remember
old
those,
piece
yeah.
of shit
Yeah.
in the back of my closet
Yeah.
somewhere just collecting
It was
dust,
kind of
but-
similar, you know. All those companies back then, they were just making their Strat knockoff or
Yeah.
you know,
Right,
whatever, you know.
right.
But yeah, back then, I mean, nowadays, you know, you can get a really decent guitar for, you know, $100, $150. But back then, man, you know, you couldn't. You know, it was
Right.
like, you know, yeah, you can maybe change the pickups in them and get a. I mean, I've got guitars that I paid $150 for, put some new pickups, and they play and sound as good as a $1,000 guitar that I have. But back then, man, that wasn't the case. I mean, you really had to dig into your wallet to get something decent that
Yeah,
played
you
and sounded
paid
good.
for what you
know?
wanted,
Yeah.
you know
Was
what
it
I
all
mean?
American made back then? Is that the deal?
Man, I don't
Are you
wonder.
racist?
Yeah, actually, man, some of my best guitars, you know, were my best Strats, and a Tele that I play a lot is like a Japan made in Japan. You know, and I know Fender shut down the Japan plant and moved it to Mexico because the quality of the Japan instruments were cutting in on the profits of the American ones because they were so
Oh, wow.
good.
Didn't
So
know
they
that.
moved them to Mexico to where there was a definite difference in the sound and playability. You
Wow.
know, in them. You know,
Dude, I'll tell you, my first guitar was a Harmony as well.
right on, cool,
Yeah,
man.
acoustic.
Brotherhood, yeah.
Yeah, the Harmony Brotherhood,
right,
bro. Be jealous, everyone. Be jealous.
Yeah, I kind of want to go back and get me another Gorilla amp just to relive. You know, I'm sure the nostalgia would wear off after like 20 seconds plugged into
Yeah,
it.
right. Okay, I'm done.
This thing sucks.
Oh yeah, that's what that fucking struggle was like. Yeah, I'm over it.
Can you imagine bringing one of those to a show and telling the sound guy to mic it?
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna do that next
Oh,
time I
no.
play with Lee. Lee,
Maybe
the
if
sound
you're in
guy.
a black metal band, you know. So let's do one more video, and then we'll come back with Jimmy Adcock, everybody from Nytrate and Texas Surfers. And is this one titled?
Your time to die.
Your time.
Your
to Die.
Time to Die.
This is like what track? I don't even remember which. This is track number 4 off the CD here.
There you go. And you can get the CD where?
You can get it at our shows or
That's the best place to get it.
online. You know, CD Baby, I believe, and Amazon. But yeah, definitely at our
Obviously.
shows. You know.
Okay.
Obviously, they can hit you up on Facebook
Right.
and say,
Facebook.
"Hey, I want a CD," right?
Double reasons why.
What happened just now? Yeah, I was like, I can't hit that note.
No, this is your time to die. You know.
Oh, I was going to the next part already.
Oh, okay,
I was
my
like,
bad.
man.
Well, we fucked that all up. Sorry, everybody.
Sorry, my falsetto's out
Maybe
today.
next time. So, we are here with Jimmy Adcock of Nytrate, and we're winding down the end of the show. So, you have two. First of all, shout out to Allie and Taco for not being able to make it. We'll
Shout
catch
out
you
to
guys
them
next
for not being
time.
able to make it.
You know,
Thank you guys rock.
not for
Appreciate
not
it.
being able to make it, but because they weren't able to make it. So, damn you, Aaron.
Sorry. Yeah.
Embarrass me like that. I'm embarrassed.
I should just drink.
So, so yeah, we'll catch you guys next time. I hope you guys come back.
Yeah,
as
please.
after your new album comes
Yes,
out, maybe.
would love to.
You know, that'd be awesome. And you have the show coming up this weekend, Friday, right?
Friday at the Rail for
At the
Slam
Rail.
and Jay's birthday, and then September the 14th at the Ridgely Room.
Right on. Do you guys do the Instagram thing? Twitter?
Don't have an Instagram page yet. We should jump on that, but you can.
Snapchat.
Yeah, Snapchat. Yeah. MySpace. Yeah. But, I mean, we got Facebook. Best way. That's best way to reach out to us is on Facebook. We should have a new website soon. But yeah, Facebook will have all our upcoming show dates and information on the band and CD. You can get the CDs at any of our local shows. I think CD Baby, Amazon. All the usual
you have
outlets.
it digitally available.
Digital
too,
available
so-
as well. Yes.
Right on.
Can they
and
just-
I would say
Can they just go to Facebook and hit message and go, hey, I need
Yes.
a CD, bro? That'll
You
work
can do
too.
that.
that'll work too. That's how being in business for yourself. You
Yep.
guys got to tackle that end. Best place to get it though is when you go see a show, because then that way you can get them all to autograph it, and then that way when they blow up, man, you fucking got you a big money maker you can throw on eBay in 10
right.
years.
I heard under certain circumstances for a specific kind of hug, and I don't know what that means, or for $20 you can get a lock of his hair at any of the shows.
A lock of your hair. You think they can afford that shit? I don't think so, man. More power to them if they can.
You get what you pay for, you know what I mean? It's, you're happy with it, then you'll pay for it.
Well, hell yeah.
Hell yeah.
Did we do you justice?
You did, man. I appreciate what you guys do for the local scene and getting the word out for, all the great. Because it's still, I know it's kind of the Metroplex has kind of turned into the tribute capital, but man, I still believe we have some of the best, original bands that you could ask for. A lot of people are always saying, wish original music would make a comeback, but man, there's plenty of great local original bands that you can go and support.
Well
so
said.
just go support it, man. Take a chance.
Yeah.
It's a lot of great. So again,
I just hope
hats
that-
off to you guys.
I hope that old wheel comes back
I
around
hope
for
so
the
too.
blues scene.
That'd be great too,
something.
man. That
It
would be
does
great.
for all of the music scene. I just would love for it to get back to a place where everybody just loves the music and that's what they want to do with their spare time. And
Yeah.
their extra $10 that week because they want to just go out and see some good music, and it doesn't matter who's playing, just music.
That's right. Yeah.
Fucking A. Well, thank all you guys for tuning in out there.
Y'all are
and you
awesome.
hardcore fans that just tune in and hang out with us every week, man. We love you guys. And thank you for sharing and all that so we don't have to sit here on our phones and everything. So
Y'all are our rock, for real.
thank you guys so much. I hope the Jamigos will come in sometime and do us some live
Yes,
shows. That'd
yeah.
be great.
Y'all
We'll do
out
that.
there, hold them to that.
Yes.
That's right.
Message
Hold our
them,
feet
let
to
them
the
know you want
fire.
to see it.
Yeah, that's all you gotta do. Message them, let them know. Jamigos on PullgetterTV, man. With the cry guitar, whatever. So,
Kaleidoscope.
well, the kaleidoscope, yes.
The kaleidoscope.
So, all right. Till next time, everybody. We're gonna close out with "Popular" from High School and the last song, which is "Into the Grind."
Back to the grind.
Back to the Grind by Nytrate, your local fucking rock and roll right here. Hey, what's up, Tex? Hell yeah.
What up,
We'll see
Tex?
you guys next time. Roll that footage, Pam. Let's do this.
That song is called Back to the Grind.
Ride, 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 ride.